Hey gang, what's up? This is Redwood Gorilla Trading. I'm Red, and today's video we're going to be looking at this week's action using my strategy, what I like to call my bread and butter strategy, trading the NASDAQ on the futures market. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, crew. As you can see, I trade this same strategy every week, just about every day. And just as a quick review, so you can understand, if you have not seen my bread and butter strategy video, make sure that you go and spot that. I'll try to link it somewhere around here on this screen. Make sure that you take a look at that, learn the strategy so that you can follow along when I do these recaps. So just a quick little review of what you're looking for. Overall, you want to start out by looking for your bias. I use the VWAP. So normally if I'm under the VWAP, I'm looking for shorts. If I'm above the VWAP, of course, I'm looking for longs. The basis of the strategy is that we are looking for, since this was a short bias day, and I'll show you why I was biased to the short side, we would be looking for a structure to be created to the short side or the downside, right? We want structure here to be broken with a strong bearish candle, break a structure with displacement. Big old splash breaking that structure. That's what we're looking for. We will run the Fibonacci retracement from the high of that move, that leg of the move, from that high down to the low. You'll just keep following this down, keep following it down, and ultimately you're looking for price to trace back up into the OTE, or optimal trade area here, or what I like to call a hot zone. This would be the standard entry, or an aggressive entry rather. This would be a standard entry, and this would be prime entry. So with this move, we did just that, dragged the fib down, wait for price to return. It tapped into the first level of the OTE, and then you just ride your trade down into your take profits. This is take profit 1, 2, 3, and so on, right? All right, so anyway, if we zoom out here, and I'll be straight up with you guys, like, even though I've gotten pretty good with using this strategy, and I've passed several funded challenges, I'm still learning, I'm still practicing, and occasionally I will try to trade while I'm distracted doing other things, and sometimes that'll kick me in my ass. So it did that a couple of times this week. So I know I didn't do any back testing last week, so I wanted to make sure that I got in and at least reviewed this past week's action and try to spot, the things that I was missing. And the majority of what I was missing when I did make my mistakes is that I just didn't take the time to look for my bias. A lot of times I'll trade without bias, and I simply look for these steps in my strategy. But thinking back, hindsight is 2020. Thinking back, in a trending market, you can pretty much do that because the price is trending in one direction. So you're going to be looking for just about the same thing. So you're not looking for a bias, because you're just looking for the steps of the trade, because you're already in a trend. So point taken. I went in and looked at this week's trades and found that that was the one step that I was skipping, either from being distracted or just rushing into stuff, trying to send out a word, to the people in our groups on Telegram. But all in all, there was some wins this week and some losses. The losses were due primarily to the failure to look at the directional bias. So that's what we're going to go through. And I'll try to go as quickly as I can so this video isn't like stupid long. So this is Monday, July 29th, right? And if you see here, if I zoom this out a little bit here, you'll notice that this is the VWAP here, right? And price is kind of, at this 930 mark, right up in here. It's kind of just pushing below the VWAP. So initially, if you're not seeing all of this, you're going to be already a short bias, right? But because it was so close to the VWAP to start out, I wasn't sure about this bias, so I just pretty much zoomed out at least to the 5-minute. And you can see that leading into this week, we were definitely on a downtrend, right? So this one clearly is a short bias. So we will go back and we'll just review each trade without going too far back. Okay. All right, so for Monday, here is our 930 open, right? We're below VWAP. Like I said, you would be looking for a short bias, but of course you're going to have to let it do its little thing and see if that bias is going to change. Higher time frame, definitely if you jump up into the hour, it was definitely a downtrend. We were just banging down for a few days now. So you want to be looking for short setups. So with that being said, price is pushing up, so we don't have a setup yet. But at this location, what I just reviewed, you have structure being created. And I kind of put some notes in my charts here. You got your structure being created. You have your break of structure with displacement, right? Your short entry will come after you've stretched your fib from the high to the low. We wait for price to come up at least to this first OTE, the yellow line here. We did exactly that. We had a really nice rejection, kind of a pin bar going on there, right? You would have a pending order here, or you can sell manually, and you let it ride to at least TP1. This trade gave us TP1, 2, 3, and 4, all the way over here. Excuse me. So that was Monday. Let's move on to Tuesday. And this is where you guys will, you'll be able to see that the strategy it's actually pretty damn good. I don't know why I have this fib down here. This must have been some other markups. Anyway, this was another play later on in the day on Monday. So I must have been looking at some more stuff in the afternoon. So if we move on over, here's Tuesday. Now with this one, yes. So for this one, it gave us, we were, a short bias, got ourselves under the VWAP, but price did give us, it did have this structure here. It did break the structure with somewhat of a displacement candle, but not, not a huge banger there. And if you look, price didn't actually come all the way. Where we at? Okay. The low here, it didn't come all the way back up into our entry zone, right? So when it did this, it just kept kind of coming down. Normally I'll just drag the lower level of the fib and just keep following it down until I get a retrace, but this trade here, I was testing some what do they call that, fibs don't lie video strategy. So what I did was, it's not the full strategy what they do, but what I did was I dragged, after it kept going down, I went ahead and dragged the first level of the fib down to the next little swing high here. And when I did that, I noticed that price was actually holding right inside the OTE. It was just respecting the hell out of this hot zone, right? So that's where I said, okay, cool. Let's go for a sell here. I took my stop, put it at this swing high, and I wrote it down. There was a level, I believe, on this one. I took it down to the next level of support, I think, over here. It's like way back there, but anyway, that's where I got out. So that was a good win on Tuesday. So move on. That's 2 wins in the week. 2 for 2. Move over to Wednesday. You can see we are above the VWAP now. So now we have a long bias. Looking for longs. This one, I believe, kind of jumped straight into the action. So you got this is your opening candle here. Price came down. Had a nice break of structure here. Nice bullish candle with displacement. Draw your fib from the low to the high this time. Waiting for price to come down into the OTE. You set your first buy order right here. You have your standard entry there, and this one actually gave a prime entry. And you take it at least a TP1, but this one gave us 1, 2, 3, and it gave us 4 a little further over here. If I'm not mistaken, is this the one? TP 1, 2, 3. Oh, almost 4. Sorry. So that is Wednesday. Moving on to Thursday. This one again, moving below. It was already below VWAP starting the day out. Kind of peaked above for a second here. It came right back down, right? So we have our short buys. We have our structure being broken right down here. It's a very light structure, but nonetheless it is a swing low, right? Breaks down, drag your fib from the high down to the low. Price came back up in here, and oh, this is the one that it didn't get all the way to the OTE zone, right? So this was not, based on my strategy, this was not a valid setup, right? But what I noticed on this day is that price gave a nice bearish candle coming down, and it created this fair value gap. So I was waiting to see if price was going to come back to fill that gap, and it did. And it actually respected this level of the candle that contains the gap. So I said, okay, cool, it failed to break that high, so I'm going to go ahead and take the short. And this one was actually the one that had the level of support that I took this down to. So this was just a nice kind of, maybe a little more than a scalp, but a good trade here. And I think this day I had a break-even day because I believe I started out being bullish in this trade, and it ended up failing and coming back against me, and I didn't take profit when I should have, but ended up doing a little better over here, and I think I ended up with like $25 profit. So then go on over to Friday. This is the one, and my people on Telegram can vouch for this. Get this over here. This one pissed me off. So started the day out, this was in FP, and when you'll see another video on my channel that talks about my news trading strategy, and it's primarily used for NFP and CPI, I think is what I use it for. And basically it's a very simple strategy. You let news hit. It jumped crazy Friday too. It was jumping all over the place. But you let it do its thing, get all these big candles out the way. You'll see that the candles start to dwindle down and get smaller and smaller. Eventually you'll start to see a doji candle. Now normally the doji is what I look for somewhere down here. So this one didn't follow it to the T, but what I noticed on this trade is that price made this low, made another push up, came down again, but it failed to break this low, and it gave us this bullish candle right there, right? Nice engulfing candle. So that said to me, all right, this thing looks like it's about done. It couldn't break the low. We got a nice big candle. So I took the buy, took your TP at the 50% level for each time we do this. And it has a very high win rate with these types of news. NFP and CPI are very high performers on this strategy. Look for the doji, or look for weakness, some sort of signal showing that it's not going to go lower, and then go ahead and take it for the buy to 50%. If it's the other direction, you'll take it for the sell, same thing, 50%. So after news and the market opened up over here, this is the one that ticked me off, because I was biased long, but I didn't take the initial push just straight out from a momentum trade. I measured it out with my fib. I'll even show you here, because I knew this was like huge bullish breaker structure. I was looking for price to come down in here. I got in. He started pushing me into profit, and then it failed. It came down and failed miserably, and I was very upset. But the thing that I really kicked myself in the nuts for is the fact that we're totally floating underneath the damn VWAP, and I knew better than that. I knew better, and I was pretty mad at myself for even taking a freaking buy while I was under the VWAP. But you live and you learn. It's whatever. So ultimately, I kind of put up to the team that our actual play was a short, because we are below the VWAP. So just like the rest, we have structure being created. We have a break of that structure with a very nice bearish candle. We dragged our fib from the high to this low. Price returned into not only a fair value gap, but it also it also reached up and tapped the first level of the OTE. So this one would have just triggered you in, just barely. And this one made for a very nice sell with a TP1, TP2, 3, 4, and almost 5. So that, had I been focused on my directional bias, this one would have gone, at least for me. I don't know if any of my team members out there took all of these trades, but had I been paying attention to my directional bias, this would have been another 100% strategy for the week. As you can see, there absolutely was a 100% win rate on this strategy when you're paying attention to all the different steps. So, again, take a look at my video if you'd like to try the strategy out. Again, I trade this on the NASDAQ futures, but you can just as well do, if you're trading Forex, just do it on NAS 100 or US Tech, some of the brokers call it. And just follow these steps, man, and don't let it spook you out. Sometimes price will come back pretty close to either your entry or even close to your stop, but most times it's going to just continue, and it will be a win for you with at least a TP1. I am seeing pretty often that this is providing a TP4, so maybe targeting TP3 consistently would be a good strategy, but that will be up to you, because this is not financial advice, and I am not a financial advisor. Entertainment and educational purposes only. So with that said, I want to thank you guys for watching the video. Stay tuned for the next piece of information, good, bad, or indifferent, and I will see you on the next time around. Everyone take care. See you next time. Peace.